The crystalline spires of Lyria's capital glimmered in the light of 3 moons, casting prismatic reflections across Rain Vantis's face as he adjusted the neural implant at his temple. 6 years as an interstellar guardian hadn't prepared him for the beauty of this world nor for the weight of his mission here. "Commander Vantis," came a voice from behind him. "The royal procession approaches." Rain turned to his second-in-command, Maya Chen, her dark eyes serious beneath her regulation cap. "Status of security protocols. All in place, sir? Though I still don't understand why they requested human guardians when their own warriors are." She hesitated, considerably more evolved. Rain understood her confusion. The Lyrians, with their translucent purple skin that seemed to capture starlight within it, were technologically and physically superior to humans in many ways. Yet here he stood, leading a team of 12 humans, tasked with protecting their most precious royal family during the Celestial Summit. "Politics, Lieutenant. Always politics," he said quietly. The procession emerged from the Palace Getza, flowing river of light and sound. The Lyrians moved with fluid grace, their bodies seeming to shimmer between solid and ethereal states. At the center floated 3 figures on a platform of pure energy. The Royal Sisters of Lyria. Rain had memorized their profiles. Eldest was Nyreen, the strategist, her features sharp and calculating. The middle sister Alara, the diplomat, whose gentle smile belied a mind that had negotiated peace between warring star systems. And then Talia, the youngest. The dreamer, his breath caught as she turned her gaze toward him. Unlike her sisters, whose expressions remained carefully composed, curiosity danced openly across her features. Her skin was the deepest purple of the 3, almost midnight in tone, with constellations of luminous freckles across her cheeks that pulsed gently with her heartbeat. "Commander," she said as the platform descended before him, her voice melodic yet firm. "I trust our safety is assured." Rain bowed formally, right fist pressed to his heart. "Princess Talia, my team and I stake our lives on it." She tilted her head, studying him with eyes that shimmered like twin nebulae. "Your reputation precedes you. The hero of Dalian Prime, yes? They say you've single-handedly evacuated a mining colony before its star went supernova." "They exaggerate, Your Highness. I had a good team. Modest, too," she said with the hint of a smile. "Interesting." Before he could respond, Nyreen stepped forward. "The summit begins in 1 hour. We've received intelligence suggesting the Void Dominion may attempt disruption. Their agents are shapeshifters, Commander. Trust nothing you see." Rain nodded grimly. "The Void Dominion extremists who believed that interspecies cooperation weakened the purity of all races. They'd been growing bolder in recent months. The next 40 minutes passed intense preparation." Rain positioned his team strategically throughout the Great Hall, where delegates from 17 star systems would soon gather. He was checking the final security protocols when the first explosion rocked the foundation of the building. "Breach in Sector 7. Maya's voice crackled through his cum. "They're inside, sir. Multiple hostiles." Rain raced toward the royal chambers, dodging falling debris. He found Princess Talia separated from her sisters, cornered by 3 attackers whose bodies shifted unnaturally between forms. Without hesitation, he threw himself into the fight. His neural implant flared to life, enhancing his reflexes and strength to near-Lyrian levels. One attacker fell, then another. The third managed to graze his shoulder with a blade that hissed with corrosive energy. "Behind you!" Talia cried. Rain spun, catching a 4th attacker he hadn't sensed. Their eyes met, completely black, so Lesby. For Rain drove his blade through its chest. When it was over, he turned to find Talia staring at him, her luminous eyes wide. A thin cut ran across her forearm, leaking silvery fluid that evaporated into starlight. "You're hurt," he said, reaching for her instinctively. "As are you," she replied, her cool fingers surprising him as they touched his wounded shoulder. "Why did you come alone? Why risk yourself?" "Because it's my duty," Rain answered simply. Something shifted in her expression. "No, your duty was to coordinate defense. Yet you came yourself." Her voice lowered. "No human has ever shed blood for Illyrian before." Before he could respond, another explosion, closer this time, shook the room. Through the window, they could see the capital in flames. "My sisters," Talia whispered, horror creeping into her voice. "We'll find them," Rain promised, taking her hand. "But first, we need to get you somewhere safe. The palace is falling." As they fled through secret passages, Talia revealed. Rain couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change, not just for Lyria, but for him as well. Something in her touch had awakened a sensation he'd long thought buried beneath. Years of military discipline, and in the darkness of a world under siege, that unexpected connection felt dangerously like hope. Twilight Alliance. The forest of crystal trees hummed with ethereal vibrations as Rain and Talia moved silently through the undergrowth. 3 days had passed since the fall of the capital, 3 days of constant movement and vigilance. Reports filtered through Rain's damaged unit, the palace overrun. The Lyrian High Council dissolved, and no confirmed sightings of Princesses Nyreen or Alara. "We should rest here," Rain said, gesturing toward a hollow formed by the twisted roots of an ancient crystal oak. "The canopy will mask our heat signatures." Talia nodded, exhaustion evident in the dimming of the luminous freckles across her face. They had fled with nothing but Rain's tactical gear and Talia's ceremonial robe, now torn and dulled with dust. "Your wound needs attention," she said softly, indicating the plasma burn on his shoulder that had worsened despite his field treatments. Rain tried to dismiss her concern. "I've had worse." "Perhaps," she replied, "but not from a Void Dominion weapon. Their blades are infused with destabilizing particles specifically designed to prevent healing." Without waiting for permission, she knelt beside him and gently pulled away the makeshift bandage. The sensation of her cool fingers against his burning skin sent an unexpected shiver through him. Lyrians rarely initiated physical contact with other species. Their culture considered it intimate beyond diplomatic necessity. "I don't have medical supplies," he admitted. Talia's eyes, those swirling galaxies of violet and silver, met his. "Lyrians have other methods." Before he could question her, she placed both hands directly on his wound. Pain shot through him, followed immediately by a tingling warmth. The purple hue of her skin intensified, and the constellation-like freckles across her cheeks and arms pulsed in a rhythmic pattern. Silver light flowed from her fingertips into his torn flesh. Rain gasped as the wound began to close. "How it's not something we share with outsiders," she whispered, her voice strained with effort. "My sisters and I possess gifts beyond even normal Lyrians. Mine is to mend what is broken." When she finally pulled away, his shoulder was healed completely, not even a scar remaining. But Talia swayed, suddenly pale, her luminosity dimmed alarmingly. Without thinking, Rain caught her against his chest. "You've weakened yourself." "A temporary condition," she murmured, making no move to pull away from his embrace. "Though healing non-Lyrian physiology requires more energy." They remained that way longer than necessary, her head resting against his shoulder, his arms providing support that gradually shifted from practical to something else entirely. The silence between them hummed with unspoken questions. "Why did your people request human guardians?" Rain finally asked, voicing the question that had nagged at him since his assignment. Talia hesitated. "My sister Nyreen foresaw it." "She has." Glimpses of possible futures. She saw a human standing between Lyria and destruction. Her voice quieted further. "I believe that human was you." "I'm just a soldier," Rain said, though the weight of her words settled uncomfortably on his shoulders. "Are you?" Her fingers traced the outline of his neural implant. These were designed using Lyrian biotechnology. "Did you know? Your body has accepted modifications that would kill most humans. Something in your genetic structure resonates with our essence." The revelation stunned him. His implant had always been experimental and military. Enhancement that had made him a legend among the Guardian Corps, but its origins had been classified. "There's more to your assignment here than protecting royalty, Rain Vontus," Talia continued. "There's a prophecy, thousands of years old, about the joining of human and Lyrian destinies." Before she could elaborate, Rain's unit crackled with sudden static. He pulled away reluctantly, adjusting the frequency. Repeat, any loyal guardians respond. This is Lieutenant Chen. Emergency rendezvous at the Twilight Sanctuary. I have secured Princess Alara. The message cut off abruptly, but Rain's pulse quickened with hope. We're not alone. Your middle sister is alive. Talia's face brightened literally, her skin glowing with renewed energy. The Twilight Sanctuary is 2 days' journey north, through the Valley of Echoes. Then we leave at first light, Rain decided. That night, as Talia slept curled beside him for warmth, Rain found himself watching the gentle pulsing of light beneath her skin. Each beat called to something within him, something he'd never acknowledged before. The implant at his temple warmed slightly, almost in response to her proximity. Whatever connection existed between them, whether prophecy, biology, or something, far more personal, it was growing stronger with each passing hour. And in the still darkness of a world in turmoil, Rain admitted to himself that his dedication to protecting her had evolved beyond duty into territory he had no map for navigating. Morning came with a violet sunrise that fractured through the crystalline forest in dazzling patterns. As they prepared to depart, Talia hesitated, then reached for his hand. Among my people, to share healing is to share life force, she said quietly. What I did yesterday. It creates a bond. I should have warned you. Rain felt a subtle resonance. Within him, like a chord struck on an instrument he hadn't known he possessed. What kind of bond? One that will allow me to sense your presence, your well-being, and you mine. Her eyes searched his face. Does that disturb you? He thought about the regulations against fraternization, about the centuries of distrust between their species, about the mission that was supposed to be purely diplomatic protection. Then he thought about the way her touch had awakened something dormant within him. No, he answered honestly. It doesn't disturb me at all. Her smile was like the breaking of dawn. The Twilight Sanctuary lived up to its name, a massive structure carved directly into a mountainside, eternally caught in the shadow of Lyria's largest moon. Its architecture blended natural crystal formations with technological enhancements that rendered it nearly invisible to conventional scanning. Lieutenant Maya Chen met them at a hidden entrance. Her uniform tattered, but her weapon steady. The relief on her face at seeing Rain was quickly tempered by professional caution. Commander, security protocol, Epsilon, she demanded. Rain nodded, understanding her need for verification. The stars are brightest when we stand in darkness. Maya relaxed marginally, then gestured them inside. Princess Alara has been waiting. We're the only survivors from the Guardian team, sir? The others. Her voice trailed off. The interior of the sanctuary glowed with soft blue light emanating from the walls themselves. As they descended deeper, Rain felt a curious pressure building in his mind, not painful, but insistent, like someone trying to whisper directly into his consciousness. Talia noticed his discomfort. It's my sister's presence you're feeling. Alara's gift manifests as thought projection. Few humans can perceive it at all. Another sign, Maya murmured cryptically. Exchanging a meaningful glance with Talia, they entered a circular chamber where Princess Alara stood before a three-dimensional star map. Unlike Talia's midnight purple complexion, Alara's skin was the softer lavender of early twilight, her features more angular, her bearing regal despite the circumstances. Sister? Talia rushed forward, embracing Alara in a flurry of intermingling light. You're safe. Alara breathed, then looked over Talia's shoulder to Rain. You have my eternal gratitude, Commander Vantas. You've proven Nyrene's vision true. Irene bowed formally. What's the situation, Your Highness? Dire Alara answered, waving her hand over the star map. It shifted to display Lyria's capital, now occupied by Void Dominion forces. Thereafter the triad resonance, the combined power of the three royal sisters. Legend says when unified, we can alter the fabric of reality itself. Her eyes, more silver than Talia's violet ones, fixed on Rain. This coup wasn't just about Lyria. It's about preventing an interspecies alliance foretold millennia ago. The prophecy Talia mentioned, Rain said. Alara nodded. When three stars align with a foreign ember, worlds will either unite or perish forever. She stepped closer, studying his face. May I? Rain understood she was asking permission to connect with his mind. He nodded once. The pressure in his head intensified, then blossomed into something extraordinary: images, emotions, knowledge flowing directly into his consciousness. He saw the history of Lyria, the cosmic accident that had created the triad resonance, and glimpses of possible futures that made his heart race. When Alara withdrew, Rain staggered slightly. Steadied by Talia's hand on his arm, "Your neural implant," Ilara said thoughtfully. "It's not just compatible with Lyrian technology, it's evolving because of your connection to my sister. The healing bond has accelerated a process that should have taken years." Maya stepped forward. "Commander, there's something you should know. Your assignment here wasn't random. The Human Alliance has been monitoring genetic variations among our species, searching for individuals whose DNA shows compatibility markers with Lyrian physiology." "You knew about this?" Rain asked, feeling suddenly betrayed. "Not the full extent," Maya admitted. "Only that you were selected for reasons beyond your military record." Talia's hand tightened on his arm. "This changes nothing about what we must do. Nyreen is still missing, and without her strategic gift, we cannot hope to reclaim the throne. We have intelligence suggesting she's being held in the Crystal Spire," Alara said, returning to the star map. "Heavily guarded, but there might be a way in through the ancient catacombs." As they began planning the rescue mission, Rain found himself increasingly distracted by Talia's proximity. The bond between them had grown stronger since her healing touch, manifesting now as an awareness of her emotional state that blurred the boundaries of his own feelings. That night, unable to sleep, he found himself wandering the sanctuary's meditation garden, this cavernous space where crystal formations grew in impossible patterns, creating music as air currents passed through them. "Our ancestors believed these crystals sang the songs of creation," Talia said, appearing silently beside him. She wore a simple robe of silvery material that complemented the glow of her skin. "It's beautiful," Rain admitted. "Like nothing I've heard before. Much like what's happening between us," she said softly, direct as always. "This bond, it wasn't supposed to form so quickly, or so intensely." Rain turned to face her. "Do you regret it?" "No," she answered without hesitation. "But it frightens me. Lyrians live for centuries. Rain, we don't give our hearts easily because once given, they cannot be reclaimed." The implication behind her words stirred something primal within him. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying that the prophecy speaks not just of alliance between species, but of union?" Her luminous eyes held his. "A bond of mind, spirit, and body that transcends physical differences." Rain stepped closer, drawn by a pull that seemed written in his very cells. "And if I told you I felt it too? This connection that makes no logical sense, but feels more real than anything I've known?" The constellation of freckles across her cheeks pulsed more rapidly, betraying her emotion. "Then I would say we are either the salvation or destruction of two species." His hand rose to trace the line of her jaw, marveling at the subtle vibration of energy beneath her skin. "I've never been good at resisting impossible odds." When their lips met, the neural implant at Rain's temple flared with sudden heat. Talia gasped against his mouth, her body illuminating with intensified light that seemed to flow between them. The kiss deepened, transcending physical sensation into something that touched their very essence. They parted breathlessly, staring at each other in wonder and trepidation. "This changes everything," Talia whispered. "Or perhaps," Rain suggested, "pulling her closer, it simply reveals what was always meant to be." In the crystal garden, surrounded by the music of ancient stones, human and Lyrian embraced a future neither could fully comprehend, but both increasingly desired. Tomorrow would bring danger, the rescue attempt for Nyreen, and the first step toward reclaiming a throne. But tonight, in the echoes of starlight, they discovered what the prophecy had hinted at for millennia. Differences in form meant nothing when souls recognized their counterpart across the vastness of space. The ancient catacombs beneath Lyria's capital city seemed to breathe with memories of a forgotten age. Crystalline walls pulsed with faint bioluminescence, revealing intricate carvings that documented the first contact between humans and Lyrians. Millennia images that contradicted official Histories of both species.
Yeah.
Peoples knew each other long before the recorded alliance. Talia whispered as their small group navigated the narrow passages. These carvings suggest we once shared technology, culture, perhaps even bloodlines. Rain studied a particular etching, showing a human-like figure surrounded by the distinctive starlight pattern that characterized Lyrian energy. His neural implant hummed softly in response, a sensation he had grown accustomed to since his bond with Talia had deepened. Almost like they predicted me, he said quietly. Alara, leading the way with a map projected from her palm, paused to glance back at them. Not predicted, Commander. Remembered. Her silver eyes caught the ambient light. Time isn't as linear as humans perceive it. Maya, bringing up the rear with her weapon ready, kept her expression neutral, but Rain caught the concern in her gaze. Their connection as fellow guardians ran deep, and he knew she worried about his growing entanglement with the royal family, particularly Talia. We're approaching the access point to the Spire's foundations, Alara announced. From here, we'll need Princess Talia's resonance to bypass the security fields. The passage widened into a circular chamber dominated by a column of pure energy that stretched from floor to ceiling. Surrounding it were 5 crystal pedestals, each emitting a different colored light. The Concordance, Talia explained, stepping forward. An ancient security system that responds only to royal blood. She placed her hand on the central pedestal, her purple skin illuminating brilliantly as energy flowed between her and the column. The chamber trembled slightly, and a hidden doorway materialized in the far wall.
Oh.
It worked, she said, sounding surprised. But it shouldn't have. The Concordance requires at least 2 royal sisters to activate fully. Rain felt a strange tingling in his right hand, the one that had most often touched Talia during their journey. Following an impulse he couldn't explain, he placed it on the pedestal beside hers. The reaction was immediate and spectacular. The column of energy flared blinding white, and the doorway expanded to twice its original size. Impossible, Alara breathed, staring at Rain in astonishment. Unless... An alarm suddenly wailed through the chamber, cutting off her speculation. Red light pulsed along the walls, and distant shouting echoed through the newly opened passage. They've detected the Concordance activation, Maya warned, readying her weapon. We've lost the element of surprise, and we move fast, Rain decided, drawing his own sidearm. Maya, you and Princess Alara, secure our exit route. Talia and I will find Princess Nyreen. The bond between you amplifies her abilities, Alara said quickly. Use it. Feel for Nyreen's presence through Talia. They separated at a junction. Rain and Talia ascending, through maintenance shafts, toward the upper levels of the Crystal Spire, where intelligence suggested Nyreen was being held. Twice they encountered Void Dominion guards. Shapeshifters whose forms rippled unsettlingly between humanoid and something utterly alien. During the second skirmish, Rain witnessed another evolution of their bond. As a guard lunged toward him with morphing limbs, Talia cried out in warning. The sound somehow transferred directly into Rain's neural implant, enhancing his reflexes beyond even their augmented capacity. He moved with impossible speed, dispatching the attacker before its strike could land. Did you feel that? Talia asked afterward, her eyes wide. Rain nodded, equally stunned. It was like your voice became part of my neural network. The prophecy, she murmured. The joining of minds. They continued upward, their movements increasingly synchronized, communicating with minimal words. The bond between them hummed with growing intensity. Allowing Talia to sense her eldest sister's presence several levels above, when they finally reached the detention level, they found something unexpected. Princess Nyreen was not restrained. She stood calmly in what appeared to be royal quarters. Her deep indigo skin, lustrous under artificial starlight, her expression unreadable as they burst through the door. Right on time, she said, showing no surprise at their appearance. I've been waiting for you both. Talia rushed forward to embrace her sister, but Rain remained alert. Something about the situation raising his guardian instincts. You're not imprisoned, he observed carefully. Nyreen's smile was cool, calculating. Unlike her sisters, whose emotions radiated visibly through their luminescent skin, Irene's glow remained perfectly controlled. Perspective, Commander Vontis. I prefer to see it as strategic positioning. What have you done, sister? Talia asked, slowly pulling away as realization dawned. What was necessary? Irene stepped to a control panel and activated a view screen showing the capital city. The prophecy speaks of unity between our species, but it doesn't specify what form that unity takes. Her eyes fixed on Rain. Your human leaders understand this better than my soft-hearted sisters. The implications hit Rain like a physical blow. The human alliance is working with the Void Dominion. Not exactly, came a familiar voice from the doorway behind them. Lieutenant Maya Chen entered, her weapon aimed not at Irene, but at Rain and Talia. The Alliance has concerns about the particular interpretation of unity that Princess Alara and Princess Talia favor. A more controlled approach was deemed preferable. A prayer twisted in Rain's gut. Maya. How long? From the beginning, she answered, her expression almost apologetic. Your selection wasn't random, Commander. Your genetic compatibility with Lyrian physiology made you the perfect conduit. We needed the bond to form so we could study it, replicate it under controlled circumstances. Talia moved closer to Rain, her body trembling with both anger and fear. Where is Alara? Secured, Maya answered simply. She'll remain unharmed as long as you cooperate. Irene stepped forward, her regal bearing unchanged. The triad resonance is too powerful to be guided by emotion, sister. The human scientists believe they can harness it, synthesize it without the unpredictability of genuine connection. Her gaze shifted momentarily to Rain. Your feelings for the commander are a liability. They threaten the stability of any lasting alliance. You can't synthesize what you don't understand, Talia said fiercely. The bond isn't just biological, it's soul deep. To demonstrate, she gripped Rain's hand. Immediately, their connected energies surged visibly. Purple light from her skin, flowing into him, while a subtle blue aura previously unnoticeable began to emanate from his body in return. Irene's composed facade cracked slightly. Impossible. The manifestation shouldn't be physical in humans. Maya stepped closer, clearly alarmed. This exceeds projected parameters. We need to separate them now. But as she moved to pull them apart, something extraordinary happened. The neural implant at Rain's temple glowed with the same constellation pattern as Talia's freckles. Their joined hands became a nexus of swirling energy that expanded outward in concentric waves. The room's electronics flickered and failed. Maya staggered back, momentarily disoriented. Only Irene remained standing firm, her eyes widening not with fear, but with dawning comprehension. The third interpretation, she whispered. Not alliance through diplomacy or through technology, ... but through love? Talia's voice resonated with newfound power. Where is our sister Irene? Where is Alara? The eldest princess hesitated, then gestured to a hidden panel in the wall. 2 levels below. But you'll never reach her. The building is secured by loyal forces who she stopped abruptly as the floor beneath them trembled violently. Emergency lighting flashed through the room, and distant explosions echoed up through the spire. What's happening? Maya demanded. A slow smile spread across Talia's face as she maintained her grip on Rain's hand. You forgot something important about the triad resonance, sister. When one of us connects deeply enough, the others feel it too. Her eyes gleamed with certainty. Alara has awoken. The floor shook again, more violently this time, and cracks appeared in the crystalline walls. The perfect structure of the spire was coming apart at its molecular level. We need to leave, Rain said urgently. Now, in the chaos that followed, they fought their way downward through the destabilizing building. Maya was separated from them during a particularly violent tremor, while Irene, recognizing the shifting balance of power, reluctantly joined their escape effort. They found Alara in a laboratory filled with human and Void Dominion technology. The middle sister's restraints lay shattered around her, and the room's equipment had been reduced to molten components. Her normally gentle demeanor had transformed into something fierce and primal. The prophecy, was never about political alliance, she said when she saw them. It was always about evolution. The next step for both our species. As all three sisters reunited, a harmonic resonance built between them. Amplified by Rain's presence and his connection to Talia, the spire continued to disintegrate round them as they fought their way to an escape vessel. In the final moments before launch, Rain caught sight of Maya struggling beneath fallen debris. Despite everything, he couldn't abandon a fellow guardian. Breaking away from Talia momentarily, he helped free his former lieutenant. Why? Maya asked as he pulled her aboard the vessel. Because some bonds run deeper than betrayal, he answered simply, as they escaped the collapsing capital. Rain found himself caught between worlds, the duty he'd sworn to a human alliance whose true agenda he no longer trusted, and the connection to Talia that had fundamentally changed his understanding of his own humanity. When Talia found him alone on the observation deck, watching Lyria's 3 moons rise over the distant crystal forests, she didn't speak immediately. Instead, she simply placed her hand over his, their energies mingling visibly where they touched. "What happens now?" he finally asked. "We rewrite the prophecy," she answered, the universe swirling in her eyes. "Together." The refugee settlement nestled within the Valley of Whispers had grown from a temporary haven to a symbol of resistance in the 3 months since the fall of the crystal spire. Crystalline dwellings merged with human, prefabricated structures in a visual representation of the alliance taking shape. Rain stood atop the valley's ridge, watching the activity below with a mixture of pride and uncertainty. His neural implant had continued to evolve, now extending in delicate patterns across his temple and chica, physical manifestation of his deepening connection to Lyrian energy. "To Talia. Perimeter sensors are fully operational," said a familiar voice behind him. He turned to see Maya approaching, her guardian uniform replaced by the simple garb of the resistance. Their relationship remained complicated, her betrayal balanced against her subsequent choice to defect when she witnessed the true nature of the human alliance's plans. "Will it be enough?" he asked. "Against conventional forces, yes," she answered honestly. "Against what's coming? I don't know." What was coming was unprecedented. A combined fleet of human alliance and void dominion warships, united in their determination to capture the royal sisters and the renegade commander whose bond with them threatened carefully constructed power structures throughout the sector. Last transport from the eastern settlements arrived safely, Maya continued. "That's another 300 civilians under our protection, and another 300 mouths to feed." Rain sighed, though he wouldn't have turned anyone away. "How's Alara's negotiation with the fringe colonies proceeding?" "Slowly. They're hesitant to openly oppose the alliance." Rain nodded, unsurprised. Fear was a powerful motivator for neutrality. "And Nyreen?" Maya's expression tightened slightly. The eldest princess remained a controversial figure within the resistance. Still working on the defensive matrix? Her strategic skills are undeniable, whatever her previous allegiances. They descended together into the valley as twilight approached. The settlement illuminated naturally as darkness fell the bioluminescence of the Lyrians, providing light that required no external power sources in the central gathering space. Rain found Talia teaching a group of human children how to activate the latent resonance in crystal fragments. Under her guidance, the stones glowed faintly in their small hands, proof of the compatibility between species that traditional powers had sought to suppress. She looked up as he approached, her face brightening, literally at his presence. The bond between them flared visibly whenever they were near, purple light from her meeting the increasingly prominent blue aura that surrounded him. Commander Vontus called one of the children excitedly. "Look what I can do." The boy held up a crystal that pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. "Impressive," Rain said with genuine warmth. "You're a natural." After the lesson concluded, Talia joined him for their evening walker ritual they'd established since establishing the settlement. Their fingers intertwined naturally, energy flowing between them like water seeking its level. Lara had another vision. Talia said softly as they followed the path along the river of liquid crystal that bisected the valley. "The fleet will arrive within 2 days." Rain had expected this, but the confirmation still settled heavily. Are we ready for what comes next? No one could be ready for what we're attempting, she admitted. The full triad resonance has never been channeled through a human conduit before. The energy could tear you apart at the cellular level. He stopped, turning to face her fully. In the moonlight, her purple skin shimmered with constellations that had become as familiar to him as his own reflection. The worry in her luminous eyes was unmistakable. We've discussed this, he said gently. There's no other way to generate a field powerful enough to affect both fleets simultaneously. There is another way, came Nyrene's voice from the shadows. The eldest princess stepped into view, her indigo skin almost midnight in the darkness. I've completed my calculations. Despite months working together, tension still crackled whenever Nyrene and Talia were near each other. The betrayal had left wounds that healed slowly, even among beings who lived for centuries. What have you found? Rain asked, maintaining his position between the sisters. The resonance doesn't require a human conduit, Nyrene explained. It's projecting a complex equation into the air between them. It requires a hybrid one. Talia gasped softly, understanding before Rain did. You're suggesting transformation, Nyrene confirmed. Not just a bond, but a complete biological synthesis. Human and Lyrian, becoming something new entirely. Rain studied the equation, his enhanced mind grasping concepts that would have been incomprehensible months earlier. Is it even possible? Your neural implant was the first step, Nyrene said. It's been gradually rewriting your genetic structure since the moment it first resonated with Lyrian energy with Talia. The process is already 30% complete. The revelation should have terrified him. But Rain felt only a profound sense of rightness. The changes he'd experienced enhanced perception, the visible aura. Dreams filled with stars he'd never seen suddenly made sense. What would I become? He asked quietly. We don't know, Talia answered, squeezing his hand tightly. No one has ever completed such a transformation. But it's our best chance, Nyrene insisted. The combined fleet carries weapons designed specifically to neutralize Lyrian energy signatures. They've studied us for decades, preparing for this confrontation. But a hybrid energy signature would be unrecognizable to their systems. They brought the proposal to Alara, who sat in deep meditation within the sanctuary cave at the valley's heart. The middle sister had become their spiritual center. Her diplomatic skills now focused on maintaining harmony within their growing community of refugees. The prophecy never specified preservation, she said after hearing them out. Only transformation. Her silver eyes focused on Rain. But the choice must be yours alone, Commander. Once begun, the process cannot be reversed. That night, in the privacy of the dwelling he shared with Talia, Rain contemplated what it meant to potentially leave his humanity behind. Not just physically, but conceptually, to become something unprecedented in the history of either species. Are you afraid? Talia asked, her fingers tracing the patterns that had formed on his skin, mirror images of her own constellations. Not of changing, he answered truthfully, only of losing what we've found together. Her luminescence brightened with emotion. That's not possible. The transformation would only deepen our connection. Then I've already decided, he said simply. The ritual took place at dawn, in the center of 3 converging crystal rivers. The 3 sisters formed a triangle around Rain, who stood waist-deep in the luminous liquid. The entire settlement gathered on the surrounding banks, human and Lyrian alike, witnessing the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. When 3 stars align with a foreign ember, Alara recited, worlds will either unite or perish forever. The sisters joined hands, completing the circuit. Energy built between them, visible as a swirling vortex of indigo, silver, and violet light that condensed above Rain's head before descending into him. The pain was extraordinary cellular reconstruction experienced consciously. Rain felt himself dissolving and reforming simultaneously, his perception expanding beyond the physical plane into realms of pure energy. Through it all, Talia's presence anchored him, her love a constant amid the transformation. When it ended, the gathered crowd stared in awe. Rain's skin had taken on a subtle, crystalline quality, with a blue luminescence that pulsed in perfect harmony with Talia's purple light. His eyes, once brown, now contained swirling galaxies like those of the Lyrians, yet remained recognizably human in structure. He rose from the water, feeling both weightless and incredibly powerful. Knowledge flowed through him, the collected wisdom of both species. Patterns and connections previously invisible, now blindingly obvious. "I can see them," he said, looking skyward, though the fleet was still light years away. "I can feel their approach." The sisters lowered their hands, visibly drained by the ritual, but smiling with hope for the first time in months. "What now?" Maya asked, stepping forward to represent the human contingent. Rain extended his hands, one toward Talia, who took it immediately, and one toward the assembled refugees. "Now we show them a future they haven't imagined." When the combined fleet arrived 2 days later, they found not a resistance preparing for battle, but a unified community standing openly on the valley ridge. At their center stood Rain and the three sisters, their joined energy visible, even from orbit, as a beacon of harmonized light. The flagship initiated communication, expecting to deliver surrender terms. Instead, Rain established a direct mental link with every sentient being in the fleet, human, void, dominion, and those caught between. Through this connection, he shared not just words, but experienced the truth of what integration between species could achieve. The evolution possible when artificial barriers fell away. He showed them the future through newly awakened senses that transcended traditional understanding. Across the fleet, weapons powered down, some in fear, others in awe, and a growing number in recognition of a truth they'd always suspected, that separation was an illusion. And the universe itself longed for connection. In the months that followed, others chose to undergo similar transformations, not all as complete as Rain's, but each finding their own balance between human and Lyrian attributes. The settlement became the capital of a new society that recognized no distinction between species, only between those who embraced evolution and those who feared it. The old royal palace was not rebuilt. Instead, a new structure grew organically at the convergence point of the crystal rivers, a living monument that responded to the collective consciousness of all who dwelled within the valley. On the eve of the first anniversary of what history would call the convergence, Rain and Talia stood atop the highest spire of this new home. Below them, celebrations filled the valley with music that blended human instruments with the natural harmonics of Lyrian crystal. "Do you ever regret it?" Talia asked, her hand warm against his. "Leaving behind what you were?" Rain considered the question carefully. His transformation had continued evolving in unexpected ways, granting abilities neither species had possessed alone. Yet his core self, his memories, his values, his capacity for love, remained unchanged. "I didn't leave anything behind," he answered, pulling her close. "I simply became more fully what I was always meant to be." As they embraced, their energies merged, visibly purple and blue swirling together to create something entirely new. From such unions, the next generation would be born naturally hybrid, inheritors of a legacy that transcended the limitations of their ancestors. And in the vastness of space beyond Lyria, word spread of what had been achieved, a beacon, calling to all who dared to imagine connection beyond boundaries, love beyond form, and evolution beyond fear. The prophecy had never promised ease, only possibility. In choosing transformation over destruction, in embracing the unknown over the familiar, Rain Vontus and Princess Talia had not just fulfilled an ancient prediction, they had rewritten it entirely. Beyond the void that had once separated their peoples lay a future limited only by imagination, and that, perhaps, was the greatest transformation of all.